Du sa det besättning ihop? Ja. Nej, men det räcker. Det räcker. Men hon var den som gick längst i showmaskiken i Kanada och de är längst. Det var det bara Kanada på. Så de har sett varandra förr. Han dömde ju ändå.
Ja, han var på jul.
Excellent class of yearling age heifers. I think there's a little bit of difference in age. The females placed on the far ends of this class are very similar. the dark red heifer in the middle is substantially younger than the other two. So that makes for a little bit of a challenge in terms of comparison. I think the heifer that does win the class, the horn female, for me is probably the longest bodied, highest volume female at this particular point in her development. I think she's really deep bodied. I think she's got that advantage over the other two cattle, as they're just more natural body dimension in terms of her depth and her boldness of rib at this stage in her development. She's very sound structured off both ends of her skeleton. She toes ahead straight and correctly off both ends. She travels with a long, fluid stride. One thing I would change about that female is she gets a little bit weak over her loin edge for me. If I could strengthen her up and make her transition a little bit stronger, more correctly from the top of her shoulder back into her loin and into her hip, I think that's the thing that she needs. She just gets a little bit weak in the way that her hip transitions into her loin edge. But beyond that, an awfully nice female. Udder construction on her, I think, is acceptable. She's going to be probably a little bit lower on her rear udder than what I'd like, and maybe a little bit closer space than what I'd prefer, but I think her teat length is fine. I think udder quality in this class is going to be an advantage for that dark red polled heifer in the second place. I think she's the most level right now in the way that her udder should develop as she comes into her lactation later on in life. But for me, she's just a little bit frailer, a little bit narrow constructed female, albeit she's also younger and lighter weight in terms of her age and her development. She's, again, one that I think is probably a little bit leveler and squarer down her top side. I think she transitions smoother from her loin into her hip. But again, she's just a little bit frailer bone, narrow constructed female who perhaps is straighter off her hind leg and a little bit shallower body than what the class winner is. The horned heifer on the far side, again, is one that I really like structurally. I think she's square and true in the way that she travels, both off her front end and her rear skeleton. I guess as I look at that female, she's long-bodied, she's correct up front in the way that she goes into her shoulder. I just like to see more of her in comparison, particularly with the heifer that wins the class. If I could give that female more chest width, more dimension and muscle working down her top, and more natural width of skeleton off both ends, I think that would be an asset for her. If I could just make her stouter and higher volume in comparison with the calf that wins the class, that would be the biggest thing I would change with her. But I think as she develops too, she's of the moderate frame and the soundness of structure to be quite productive when set into production. So 3 high quality females, congratulations and thanks for participating.